In today's Bible story, God speaks through an ass. Welcome back to my channel. We are in the book of Numbers, chapter 22, and we now look at verses 28 through 30. But before we get into that, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you can be notified every time I post a new video. Also, remember to give this video a thumbs up or a superpower like they called it back in the day. That really helps my channel, and I would really appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, let's dive right into the story. The Israelites had left Mount Sinai and were on their way to the Promised Land. They've been wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, and they had come to a place where they needed to go around the city of Jericho. So they were walking along, and they came across a valley with a river flowing through it. Now, there was a very large donkey that belonged to a man who lived nearby. And this donkey was stubborn. It wouldn't move no matter what the owner tried to do. So he couldn't use it anymore. So the man takes the donkey to Balak, the king of Moab, and he says, "Hey, I have this big donkey, but it's no good because it won't listen to me. Can you help me?" So Balak goes out to meet the donkey. He looks at it and says, this is a tough one. Let me ask God what to do. So he sends for his seer, which is a person who could tell him what God was saying. And the seer tells Balak, "Hey, God says just take that donkey and sacrifice it." So they do that. They cut the donkey open and lay its insides out on the ground. Then they take some sticks and make them into symbols. They attach those symbols onto the donkey's carcass, and then they leave it there. Then God comes down in a cloud and speaks to Moses. He says, "I have seen the people. They're acting like they want to worship me, but really they're worshiping other gods. So I want you to do something for me. Take your staff and strike the ground. I will cause water to come up out of it. That water will flow into the river, and the donkey's carcass will be clean." So Moses does that, and the water starts flowing out of the ground. It flows into the river and cleanses the donkey's body. And as soon as that happens, guess what? The donkey starts talking. Yes, God used a donkey to speak to these people. In fact, it's the only time in the Bible where an animal spoke. You know how sometimes people say, "Don't talk down to me. I'm not an idiot." Well, this donkey was actually talking, so I think that kind of cancels out anyone who might try to say that they're not an idiot. Okay, let's keep going. The donkey talks and says, "Why have you done this to me? Would you kill your talking donkey?" To which Balak replies, "What did you do? You're a talking donkey. Why should I not kill you?" The donkey responds, "Because I am your servant's donkey, and I have been with him from the time he was born. I am his mount. I have carried him on my back from the day he became a boy until today. I am his servant's donkey. Should I now kill my master's child?" God was very angry at the people of Moab because they didn't listen to what he said. They didn't listen when he told them to let the Israelites pass through their land. They didn't listen when he told them not to fight against Israel. And now he was really mad because the donkey was talking and they still weren't listening. So God told Moses to strike the ground again, but this time to bring hail. So Moses struck the ground with his staff, and hail came down from the sky. The people of Moab ran and hid in their caves. When they came out of their caves, they saw that all their crops had been destroyed. They were covered with hail. Then they finally listened to what God was saying. They let the Israelites pass through their land, and the Israelites didn't hurt them. So as soon as this happened, God said to Moses, "Let's get out of here." So Moses took his tent and the tents of the Israelites, and they traveled away from the people of Moab. Now, here's the thing. This is a great story, and it shows us that even animals can be used by God to get his message across. But you know what? We need to make sure that we don't miss the point of the story. Because the main point of the story isn't that a donkey talked. No, the main point is that the people of Moab were being disobedient to God. They kept getting messages from God telling them to let the Israelites go, but they wouldn't do it. And even when God got really mad and sent a donkey to tell them, they still wouldn't listen. They didn't listen to the donkey. They didn't listen to God, and I think that's a lesson for us. You see, sometimes God speaks to us and we choose to ignore him. Sometimes he speaks to us through his word. Maybe we read a scripture that applies to us, but we push it aside and we don't do anything about it. Other times, God may speak to us through a friend, someone who cares about us and wants the best for us, but we may not listen to them either. Sometimes he may speak to us through circumstances in our life. Things happen that force us to pay attention, but still we may not listen to God. Well, eventually God may raise his voice and send us a message through a dream or maybe a vision. If that doesn't work, he may even send us a donkey. I mean, he did it once, so he may do it again. The point is, we need to make sure that we are listening to God and that we obey him. We need to pay attention when he speaks to us, and we shouldn't ignore his voice. There's a song that says, sometimes he speaks in quiet ways, but if you listen, you will hear him say, let's make sure that we are listening to God and that we obey him. So what do you think? What lessons did you learn from this story? Do you think God may be trying to speak to you right now? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to like the video and share it with your friends. You can follow me on social media to get updates when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.